Hi there, today I'm doing a really fun gardening project. I'm making a small raised kitchen garden to sit right out here on my back deck. So the beauty of a kitchen garden is to have something outside your door. In my case, it's right outside my back door that you can just easily come outside, grab some herbs or grab a few tomatoes, whatever you want basically, and just be able to quickly take it inside and then use it in whatever you're having for dinner, lunch, breakfast, or even a drink. I kind of use the term kitchen garden, cocktail garden interchangeably. Basically, mine will be both because I'm planting a lot of herbs and then a few vegetables, lots of different types that you can use in cooking, and then of course to make drinks, things like mint, basil, even like jalapenos if you make like a spicy margarita. We like to do that every now and then. It's just fun to try different things. Here's my little setup. I moved one of the umbrellas over here to kind of create some shade, just to make for more pleasant planting. But this cart, which is what I'm going to be using for the garden bed, the garden will be in full sun, which is what I want. But for now, I have some nice shade. So I assembled the cart yesterday. It was very windy, so I had to hold off until today, and today is a beautiful, lovely day. The cart was pretty easy to put together. I just got it off Amazon. Very simple. I do like that there's a little shelf down here because I want to put some containers down here for our mint, I think. But it's got wheels, which makes it nice and mobile. I can move it around if I need to. It is metal, which is a little bit of a concern in terms of heat, but again, I can move it. And I have some nice shade over on the side of my deck. So if I need to move it and adjust some things, I can do that. Okay, other materials, I showed you the containers that I'm planning to use down here. I did want to get terracotta, but I couldn't quite find ones that I liked, and the ones I did find were extremely expensive. So I am trying to keep this kind of cost effective. So I thought I would just kind of arrange them, and that gray color does kind of match the containers I already have out here. So I thought it would work well. Okay. In terms of soil, I got some raised bed soil. We have our garden tone fertilizer, we have some compost, and then we have all of our plants. We have some sweet mint, spearmint, rosemary. That's what I'm thinking for the containers on the bottom shelf, especially since mint is invasive. You want to make sure and plant that in a container. And then we love basil. I love to make pesto. I love to make all sorts of salads. So basil, my daughter, my whole family loves basil. So we got a few of these sweet basil, and then we got a purple basil. Very pretty. We also have some Italian oregano. We have some, I think this is our flat leaf Italian parsley. We have lemon thyme, dill. We have, I think this is cilantro. Yes, chives, some sage. And then we have 3 different kinds of cherry tomato, yellow pear, husky cherry red, and then I got another sun sugar cherry tomato, which I heard these are like eating candy. I have one out in my raised bed already, and I just couldn't resist planting another. Then we have a jalapeno, and we have 2 little lavender plants, and then we have some marigolds, just because these are said to be very good companion flowers. Marigolds tend to kind of repel certain pests. They also kind of draw in the good insects that help organically control pests. So they're cute too. I always have loved marigolds. Some people don't like them, but I think they're just very cheerful. And then I have 2 cucumbers. That is for my raised bed out in my garden. So plant those up later. I also have my trusty label maker and my little marker tags. So I might get to that, I might not today. We'll see. I do have my drill also to drill some drainage holes in those containers. I debated putting down some sort of fabric, but I think, there's enough. There's one good drainage hole right in the middle, and then there are some cracks around the edges. So I think it'll be fine I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to start filling it up with garden soil and then some compost and kind of mix it together, and then we'll start planting. Okay, I went ahead and started placing all of my little plants, and what I came up with was our cherry tomatoes kind of here on the corners, so the red here, the golden here, and then the sun sugar here. And then we have our 3 basil here out the front. We have our thyme, dill, Italian oregano, sage, chives, yes, cucumbers, Italian parsley, let's see what else, cilantro, and then of course we have our lavender, our jalapeno, and another lavender. I love the idea of using lavender in a kitchen garden also. You can use them in drinks, or you can put them in those little baggies to make things smell nice, drawers and such, or of course just floral arrangements. Really pretty. They add a little bit of variety. And then down below we have our sweet mint, and of course it's not going to sit up quite that tall once I have it planted. We have our rosemary, and then we have our spearmint. These will be really nice because mint is invasive, so it is recommended that you plant it in containers rather than just kind of loose in here with everything else where it can kind of take over. My daughter helped fill up the containers. You did a good job, didn't you? What are you excited about?
About cucumbers.
Cucumbers. You love cucumbers.
Mommy, you gotta cut this out.
I will. We're going to go plant some cucumbers out in our raised bed once we're done. I said the same thing when I was planting up my raised garden beds, the bigger ones. I'm going to err on the side of overplanting and kind of having a very abundant, full looking raised bed. Last year I noticed that I planted everything, spaced everything apart, and even once things grew in, I had a lot of kind of dead space, and I kept thinking, should have planted more. So it might look a little overpacked, but I can always move things out, transplant as needed to give things a little more space. but I am trying to make it a pretty kind of abundant looking container for our back deck. So it has multiple purposes other than just being a garden. Everything's planted, looking good. It's nice and snug. I really did my best to kind of tilt things and plant them at an angle so that they would kind of grow outward and create a little more space in the raised bed. So I'm curious to see how it does. A lot of this is an experiment, so it's just kind of seeing how this works, what plants work well in this kind of configuration, and which ones don't. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a little bit more compost and kind of just give it a nice top dressing just to kind of help keep the moisture in, because again, this is in a metal container, and as it gets hotter and hotter over the summer, I expect that that will kind of create hotter, more dry conditions for our raised garden bed. I almost forgot about our marigolds. I think I'm just gonna kind of pop them in and see where they work. I love marigolds. I actually really like the smell of them. It's a very like nostalgic smell for me. So anyway, we'll just kind of see where we can squeeze them in. Looking really pretty. I feel like that top dressing of compost just gives the container a really nice rich look and really makes the plants pop. So now all I really need to do is go in and make my little tags with my label maker. I'm just using black, they're a little more inconspicuous, and then we'll just water in and we'll be done. So for my garden markers, I just use these kind of normal plasticky ones. They're black, and then I use my label maker, and it's just really simple. I use a black label with white font, just so you can just see the writing and everything else kind of just disappears. Okay. And then I've got my label, and I can trim it up with scissors and then put it right here onto my garden marker. So that's just what I'm going to go through and do for all of my plants. Okay, we got everything labeled and watered in, and I think our little raised kitchen garden is looking very pretty. I think it looks really nice and sharp. I love the labels. I know that we probably won't see them for long. I like how they're just subtle and clean. I love the black. I feel like black just makes everything pop. And again, a lot of these things are experimental. I've never really tried to do trailing cherry tomatoes before, so we will see. It's an evolving process and just kind of fun, right? So anyway, my daughter did a label. I didn't go in and label the marigolds or the lavender, but everything else I did, I think. I did keep all of my tags so that I could put them in my garden journal. I'm keeping a garden journal this year kind of as a record. I'm doing little container recipes for all of my containers, and that way I can make notes on what worked well, what didn't, and just remember my containers for the next year. So what I'll do is I'll just lay these out based on how they're laid out in the raised bed. I won't do it all right now, and then I'll just tape them down in my garden journal, and that way I'll know exactly what layout I used in case I want to repeat it next year. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun, so much fun. My daughter was out here the whole time giving me pointers. Tonight I'm going to try my hand at making a drink using some herbs from our new garden, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.